The truth about AA, what is AA really like, and does AA help you get sober? I have shared about NA, and I am sharing about AA and my experiences with AA, the good and the bad of AA. Because yes, there's also bad sides, I think, of everything. And again, these are just my personal opinions. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm none of that. I am a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. At the peak of my addiction, I was drinking 2 to 3/5 of vodka a day. And this is my opinion on AA. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and I am a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. 7/25/17 is my sobriety date. My drugs of choice were alcohol and cocaine. I was doing 2 to 3/5 of vodka a day, just slamming those down, and I was doing 1 to 2 8 balls of cocaine a day. Blew out my nose. These were my drugs of choice, and when I got sober, I told everybody I was struggling with addiction. I need help, I need help, I need help. And what did everybody also say is, the cool thing is when I told everybody I needed help, people knew I was an addict. And guess who they started referring me to as friends that they knew that were in AA, and everybody just tells you right away, get to a meeting, get to a meeting, get to a meeting. I'm scared as heck to go to a meeting, but all right, I go to a meeting, I sit in the back, I don't say a word. But over time, I did really learn that there are a lot of benefits to AA, and I want to share with you the good and the bad, especially for the person that's never been to a meeting before, or is even struggling still going to meetings, because I don't think that's ever really addressed. When it comes to AA, I loved AA because of the camaraderie, the unity. I do believe in the 12 steps. I'm not a diehard religious person, and that's one of the things I think that turns a lot of people away from AA, is that it's all about God. As we take it, and that you have to find God. I believe in a higher power. So my thing is, even when I sponsor people, if they told me their higher power was this hat is the highest power of the universe, of everything out there, this hat, fine. All it meant to me was that higher power, the highest power out there, couldn't be you, because that was my biggest problem. And I've learned that was a lot of other people's problem. And again, my way is not the right way to get sober. And the other thing that I did learn too, and there is just the 12 steps gave you kind of a formula to follow to help fight through the sobriety, to fight through those withdrawals, to really dig inside. And the one thing I don't think they share enough though in AA that I wish they did, that is a problem that I see with it, is they don't share about therapy enough. The more and more I went to therapy, and I went to trauma therapy, the more I realized how much of my addictions were self-medicating, of abandonment, of trauma, of what I was hiding inside. I found a lot of times with addicts, and I think a lot of us can relate, is most addicts out there have massive underlying trauma that we've never addressed, and this is an easy form of self-medication, and that's never really addressed in AA. But I did get a lot of support through people. You find a lot of self-worth, you find some validation, and you find people that you can relate to. And I think that's the biggest and most important thing is, we as an addict, when you're truly an addict, you want to know if you're truly an addict is when you are alone, getting high, getting drunk. I think that is when you are truly an addict, because you fully get to the point that you isolate yourself from everything. A drug or alcohol, whatever it is that is your addiction, is something that at first is almost like this social opening and awakening for you, becomes a prison to you. And so to be able to re-socialize, to get to around other people that understand, to get a sponsor, to get somebody that you can just call, man, when you are just hurting at night and you just need somebody to talk to, that's like, hey bro, let's go get a coffee. And having that, I think, is key. Having a friend is key, especially when getting sober. And that's one of the things I loved about AA. And now let's go to the flip side though of AA, of things that I didn't like. Again, I am one of the biggest proponents and just cheerleaders of AA. I will always recommend everybody go to AA. But you also got to remember that the way that somebody got sober isn't the same way you're going to get sober. The withdrawals that you're going through maybe aren't the same withdrawals as somebody else. Your home life, whatever it is that you're going through, none of it's the same. And so to think that there is a guidebook that will get you sober this way, you have to follow it to a T, I think is wrong, because we are all a little bit different. I can tell you this, my belief in that led me to relapse. Because I believed after reading the book, and that my family's going to come back together, and my marriage is going to be repaired, and my jobs are going to get better, and all this money's going to come flowing to me, that I'm reading these stories of in AA, aren't happening. So this is lying to me. So this doesn't work. And that was a problem of mine. And nobody ever explained that to me the very first time. And I tried to get sober from 23 up to 36 is when I finally got sober, right before my 37th birthday. And so that's one of the things I think people really need to be aware of it. And one of the other things is it's not, you don't have to be ultra religious based. You don't have to all of a sudden be a born again Christian. Praise Jesus, hallelujah, man. Whatever your higher power is your higher power. It's just believing that the world doesn't revolve around you, because we as an addict are extremely selfish, self-centered, egotistical. Just we have control of our fate, and we do not have control of our fate. Once you let go of that, is a lot of healing to you and a lot of almost realization in life. The struggles that I really had, though, is how much people just hammered in, videos and this. There was more of the challenge I ran into with a lot of sponsors, and is sponsors never looked at me per se, and believe me, this is just my stories, okay? This is not how it is with everyone. I've met amazing people that are sponsors out there. But I've also had sponsors who were like, well, I'm struggling with this, and instead of really talking to me, they just keep wanting me to watch videos and go to meetings, and 90 meetings in 90 days and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's all great and stuff, but this isn't what I'm struggling with. I wish I would have had a sponsor that said, damn, man, you went through that? Go to trauma therapy. Let's find you a true trauma therapist. Man, you're going through that. Let's work on that, instead of just almost deflecting it all and going to a lot of meetings and and listening to a lot of videos, because that didn't connect with me. And that's one of the things that's hard, is especially I think when we're getting sober, is we don't know how to have a voice yet. And to share our voice, because we're trying to just be like, okay, how do I do this? Help me, somebody, please. And we're very vulnerable at the time. When it comes to, how people get sober, there's not that tremendous open-mindedness. And so those are some of the challenges that I really ran in with AA. And I felt that some of them were very cliquey. I felt, uninvited to a lot of them. I found a lot of the old timers, and yes, there is a huge turnover rate when it comes through AA. You're there because people had DUIs and they're required to go there by court. You run into people who constantly relapse. I mean, that's a common thing, is relapse. And so when it comes to really getting into the program, no matter if somebody's there just for one meeting, you never see them again, I think it's really important for the people that have been there for a while, especially if that's your home meeting and you know people, to go up and greet the newcomers. I never really saw that happen. And you can always tell a newcomer. I mean, we're sitting in the back as a newcomer, we're freaking heads down, we don't know what to do, we're just kind of looking around, we're hoping we're not called on, and God forbid we volunteer to read a reading or to do the closing prayer or any of that. And so to just make it a little bit more of a warming environment, I can just tell you this: if you went to AA and you had a bad experience, it's just try different meetings and find a meeting that works for you. There's all different age group meetings, there's older meetings, there's younger meetings, there's all sorts of meetings, and it's finding the meetings that you feel the most comfortable at, finding the people that you can connect the best with, and just not giving up. Because I do believe in AA. I know it has a lot of success stories, but again, there's sometimes other things that go into play. Like with me, I was a alcoholic addict and a cocaine addict. And so there was different things at play. And I think it's just so important just to have people that you can relate to, people that are open-minded, and people that aren't just, this is the only way. I think we have to be almost sometimes more focused on just getting sober than did you follow this to a T. I do believe that the 12 steps themselves work, and they take time, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to go through and make amends. It's hard to go through and talk with people and say I'm sorry and truly own it up. And it's hard. It's a process to just get sober. And so for the one out there going through it, I do these videos just so that you feel less alone. And if you are struggling, you're watching this and you're like, man, this is my sign to get sober, tell everybody around you that you're struggling with sobriety. Tell everybody that you need to get sober, that you are an addict. Admit to yourself and to everyone that you're an addict, and start asking for help, because believe me, they know that you are. Down below, I have links to NA and AA. Hit the like and follow button. Comment down below, because I think so much of it comes down to not the right or wrong way to get sober. It's just getting sober one way or another, and then working on yourself from there. So for the one out there struggling, I've been there, I've done it, and I believe in you. So don't give up.